Welcome back to Música con Mezcal. My name is Brandon Bagg, and I'm sitting here with the fantastic Kate Yahn. Gonna just sit and pour us a wee mezcal.
Exciting.
Exciting. Kate, how are you?
Oh, I'm so good, man. How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
So I was looking back on the past year. You've had quite a lot going on this year.
Yeah.
You were featured in Scout Magazine, Buzz Music. I think I saw a couple other ones.
Yeah.
You released your first EP. It was a 3-track cover EP
Yeah.
that had one of the coolest covers of Bad Romance I've ever heard.
Thank
It's so
you.
cool because you didn't just take you made it your own.
Yeah.
And it's got it's like sultry and like downbeat a little bit, and has like all those like beautiful notes and things that just like kind of hit you where it counts.
Thank you.
And then about last November you released your first original single, and you're working on. You got a few more, right?
I got a few more, and I'm still writing. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind of a year. I keep saying that, and I feel like I sound like a broken record, but yeah, that gig that I did with my sweet piano player Ben, that just kind of the domino effect.
The first one you played there, the early show.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just recently played your first late show at Guild.
Saturday late show, yeah.
Yeah, that was what, 2 weeks ago?
Yep. That was wild.
Yeah.
Hey, like night and day between those two shows.
Totally.
So fun.
Well, you were there with the full band, which you've done before.
Which I've done. Yeah. I've been working consistently with the same guys now for a year, which has been also just such a relief to play with a group of musicians that you just naturally click with, and then also are so freaking talented. Like, it just blows my mind every time I get in a room with them. It's just, it's silly. Yeah.
And we were talking just before we sat down. You're talking about all the different artists that you get to play with.
Yeah.
For different gigs or for different things you got going on, and how they kind of, you're taking in the influences that every single artist that you play with has, and bringing that together to make the full sound of what you guys do on stage. Yeah,
no, I love it because I just think personality is so big, and I really want to. I mean, I love the people that I work with. Like, that for me is such a big part of it. Like, I have to have a connection. I have to be friends. I have to have some sort of relationship, because also the music just sounds better.
Yeah.
It just does. Like, when you're comfortable on stage and and then you're just jamming with your friends, it's heaven. Like, there's nothing better than that. So yeah, I really like the people that I kind of bring into my circus, that I like to say, because I feel like I'm chaos sometimes, and I just kind of throw myself onto people. I'm like, yeah, we're best friends because you played one song with me. Now we're like family. Like, I really create that community, and I really try hard to do that. And so like, if I'm playing with Emmett, which I will today, it's going to sound different than when with another guitar player, because Emmett's style and his taste and it's so cool. And then I just naturally adapt to that, and I love it. Like, I just love when somebody is so passionate, and it's just so cool, and it just makes it more fun.
And you've got like quite a breadth of variety of artists that you're influenced by.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I love about your show so much is how many different sort of genres and artists that you you tribute to in your show.
Totally.
I've seen you do Emmylou Harris songs. I've seen you do Fleetwood Mac. I've seen you do newer stuff. I've seen you do Taylor Swift. I think your last show you ended with a 15-minute Taylor Swift medley, which was gold.
Shake It Off. Oh yeah. Yeah.
And your 3 tracks that you chose for your cover EP, also quite a variety. You had Man Eater.
Yep.
There was Blue Bayou.
Yeah.
And like we said, Bad Romance.
Yeah. That was specifically curated because I came from theater. I came from like training in theater, only working in theater, and I really wanted to get my foot in the door in the music scene. And I didn't know how to do that because I didn't train here. And so I was like, you know what? I need proof. Like I need some sort of physical proof that I can send to venues, I can send to bookers, be like, hi, trust me, I can sing. Dun, da, da, da. Like, here you go. And so I had this idea of just three tunes, all kind of ranging in vibe, in sound, and especially in time. Because I just had this kind of thought of age where I was thinking about my family and I was like, okay, well, what would my grandpa want to listen to? And then what would my 16-year-old cousin want to listen to? So that's why Blue Bayou.
Right.
And then that's why Bad Romance, because I was just thinking of my circle of people and just kind of going off of that. And then it's been really interesting to see and to hear what has been resonating with people. And Blue Bayou is actually kind of that magic, like the golden ticket, because people have never heard, a lot of my friends at least have never heard that tune.
It's an amazing song.
It's amazing. And it's so fulfilling to sing. And it's just been really cool to see an old song from the 60s made popular by Linda Ronstadt in the 70s touch so many people. And then that kind of was like, oh, I'm going to keep doing songs kind of from this era because one, they feel really good and it's resonating with me, but it's also really special to see it's resonating with listeners. So that's kind of been what's happening. And then, and I mean, Bad Romance, I really love that. So thank you for, thank you for saying those very kind words about it.
Linda Ronstadt, you, in your article that you were featured in Scout magazine, it was, 3 like desert island albums.
Yeah, it was, the and albums that changed my life or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like 3 pivotal albums.
Yes.
Which is such a tough, like, you're gonna limit me to 3. But they were good albums. One of them was Tapestry, I think.
One was Tapestry,
Of course, they were good albums.
Yeah.
But there was the one that you also had one that was the trio album between Emmylou Harris, Linda Ronstadt, and Dolly Parton, which the story of that is such a cool album. The whole story of that album coming together.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about like those 3 as an influence?
It would also I'd also love to do that article again because I feel like this year
things have changed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think the trio album would still be there. Because that record really just came to me in a part of my life where I just kind of, it's so cheesy, but I really needed it. And I really needed to hear it because I thought it was cool that these 3 women who don't need each other, they're very successful. Yeah. They're also from different worlds. Like Emmy was that folk singer-songwriter. Linda was like kind of at that point, the woman of like rock and roll. Like she was just, that gal. And then Dolly Parton. I mean,
it's Dolly Parton.
I don't have to say anything. Yeah. And they all just, I mean, it was the love of music. And there's this, I read Linda Ronstadt's book where she said it. She got a phone call from Emmylou Harris, and I guess Dolly might have been in the bathroom at this point. So Emmy called Linda and was like, "You need to get your ass over here, like right now." Dolly Parton's like in my living room, and she just wants to sing. Like, get over here. And then it was kind of that natural thing where one picked up a guitar and they were singing these old country tunes that all of them had grown up on.
Yeah,
and their voices just melded together in
and
perfect
it took them
harmony.
10 years to release, right? Because they're all on different labels.
They were all different labels, and nobody wanted them to do it because I think all their producers just thought they wouldn't make any money.
Right.
Because it wasn't their brand. Like it also wasn't being done with women coming together and making something.
Yeah.
Like it was, I think it's still like that today, but it's getting better, but it's like, I don't know, they were always kind of pinning them against each other. And instead, the 3 of them were just like, no, like we love each other and we love this music. Like, totally. God damn it, we're going to record it whether you like it or not, because this is what we want to do. This is it's a soul project.
Yeah.
And then they came out with a second one, like I think 15 years later. And then they wanted to do a third, but Linda Ronstadt has Parkinson's. Right. So they never got to do it.
Yeah.
But it's such a special album, and it's so cool. And it's just all these old songs reimagined. And it's just so special, yeah.
Do you feel a weight or a sort of sense of responsibility covering someone like Linda Ronstadt? When you're recording, like in the session when you're recording, is there like a sense of almost like atonement that you need to give to this human being? Like,
I actually, funny enough, never thought about that. I think because that song, out of all of them, that was the last minute decision song.
Right.
That was the, shit, I need one more. Let's do something from the 70s. And I actually hadn't even sang it until in the studio. Like I'd never even opened my mouth to sing it. And it just was so effortless. And I think it was just one of those holy shit moments.
Yeah.
But now it's been really cool because I just feel like she's been such a huge kind of part of my career right now, like forming a brand, forming a sound. And I just really kind of look at her as a human and as a musician and as a woman. And she's such a beast. She's such an idol for me. And so I guess there is a bit of I feel a bit of like pride that I'm bringing her now. Yeah. Also at 24, like
right.
That I'm singing her tunes and feel very, very connected to it.
And how many years afterwards, like that song came out, Linda Ronstadt's part came out in the 70s.
Yeah, like 71, 73.
Yeah. So that's, what is that, 50 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy. And it's still, that's what, that's something that I love so much about music.
Yeah.
Is how you talk about when you're curating those three songs, you know, what does my 16-year-old cousin want to listen to? What does my grandfather want to listen to? Yeah. And music has this beautiful way of transcending those boundaries.
Yeah.
How did you find going into the studio to record your own material and terrifying. The process of writing as opposed to doing the covers? I'm like still learning. It's so cool. And mad respect for people who have been doing this for years. It's so bonkers to me. The writing kind of came about as soon as Bad Romance was released. My producer texted me and he's like, Kate, let's make more cool shit. I want to hook you up with people. Come to my studio. Let's just write. Like no strings attached. Let's just see what we can come up with. And I was like, whoa, okay, that's really cool that he's offering this. So we kind of get to the space and a lot of people that we're connected with were there and it was terrifying. It was so just like jacket on. It was like, okay, let's go. And then they like opened up a book and it was like, okay, Kate, therapy session. Who broke your heart? And I was like, no. Like somebody pour me a drink. Let's I already went through this in theater school.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, no, it's all happening again. They're trying to break me.
I do not need to be broken so I can be built back up again.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, don't you dare.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because we ended up, that song that we made that day, it is out in the world, but it did not sound like that. Like it didn't at all. And
like the original.
Yeah. Like the story, the melody, the plot, like really like the theme of the song completely changed because of my attitude coming into the session with, oh God, I'm terrified. I don't want to talk about my broken heart. Mm-hmm. The song all of a sudden didn't really resonate with me. And I found that I was battling with that because I was like, well, it's my own song. Why isn't it resonating with me? Mm-hmm. That's not how this works.
Yeah. And
so I had to do a lot of digging and I had to bring it to another musician and be like, okay, why isn't this hitting? Why am I not feeling this? And we'd already recorded it at this point. Like we'd gone into the big studio, the track had been laid down, all of the instrumentalists had a part. And I was like, I don't like the words. I have to like the words. I'm a storyteller. Like I have to feel these words. And yeah, we just we had to like go back in time and, talk about that first relationship. And at that point too, I was like moving away, and there was so much to unravel and so much to unpack. And then all of a sudden, like the girl that I collaborate a lot with, she's amazing. And her brain, like she takes all those feelings and puts it in a single thought. And I was like, what the heck? Like, whoa, you're magic.
So storytelling.
Yeah.
It's funny because you mentioned that you have a background in theater.
Yeah.
So those two worlds definitely collide in that ideology, that feeling of needing to be a storyteller.
Yeah.
How has that always been a part of your kind of journey with music, or has that just kind of been how you sort of grabbed onto it?
Yeah, it's been, story for me is so important. If I don't feel something, you can tell.
Yeah.
And I have to connect to it, or else my body, my brain, it won't retain it. My voice teacher from when I was a kid, she'll tell you today, she's like, you're the most stubborn human I've ever met, because if you don't like something, you just won't.
Yeah.
It won't happen. So yeah, the storytelling, I just, I love it. I was even had a voice lesson today, and we monologued all the songs that I'm going to be singing. I've got a show on Saturday. Yeah. And we monologued it. And she's like,
it's been an interesting experience.
Yeah. She's like, do you want to sing it? And I was like, nope. So I monologued Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting by Elton John this morning at 9 a.m. What an experience.
I don't know why, but that just reminds me of, I don't know if you've ever seen it, the William Shatner doing Rocket Man on like the Sci-Fi Awards in the mid 70s, and he's just sitting there smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
But he's like singing the whole song.
That was like, me today with minus the cigarette.
Yeah.
But it's good, and I really enjoy that because it takes the pressure off of the whole singing thing. And it just goes back to basics. It's like, what is this song about? How are you telling it? How are you saying it? How does it fit with how you speak naturally too? Because everyone's different in their tone and their delivery. So I really like bringing that back. It also calms my nervous system.
Right.
When I go, like when I'm singing and I'm really just focusing on the lyrics, focusing on what I want to say, what I want to share, how I want the audience to feel, how I feel, it just calms me. It's so weird. So many things to think about.
Yeah. But it's funny too, because again, you talk about your background in theater, and that what you mentioned, if I don't like something or understand something, I won't retain it. And I remember being in theater school and workshopping scenes or doing it, and you would fumble on a line. If you're fumbling on the same line over and over and over again, your teacher would say, you don't understand that line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, of course I understand that line. Like, no, you understand it intellectually, but you don't understand it. And that's why you can't remember it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you find that comes through in your performing?
100%. Yeah. And it's sometimes actually really terrifying when there's sometimes a block. So we were workshopping a song last week. And again, my voice teacher was like, you're not feeling this. You're going into airplane mode. And I was like, shit, I know. I didn't mean you to catch that. But like, I know it.
But I mean, that's what we pay them for, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, oh, thank God. But she was like, Kate, you're scared. You need to go home. You need to write out the lyrics. And you need to know who you're singing to. And you need to know like how you're feeling and why this makes you feel the way you're feeling.
Yeah. She's
like, you have to do that or you're going to lose the audience's attention because you're checked out. And if you're checked out, they're going to grab a drink. And I was like, damn it.
And it's what you talked about the sort of the same idea earlier, playing with all the different musicians you play with, and that connection, that community, that visceral energy that you feel when you're on stage. It's like that same thing. You have to have that, if the drummer and the bass player are checked out, then the whole thing's kaput.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just gone. I know. Yeah. And I'm lucky because those guys have so much love between them as players, like the drummer and the bass player are besties, and everyone's just family. And then I feel supported and I feel safe because even when we were playing at the Late Show, that was such a big show. It's long and it's amazing and the energy is so high and there's so many things going on. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, I feel so safe right now. Like anything can happen. And I feel like they have my back. And I'm just, it just makes me be able to do what I can do better. Like I can just sing better knowing that they have me. Mm-hmm. And I don't take that for granted at all. And I work really hard to be on top of my shit, but
yeah. And you're right, too.
There's an outfit malfunction, you know? Like,
but you mentioned it's long. 3 45-minute sets can be a slog.
Yeah.
You know, you go to a concert, you buy a ticket for the Commodore, and the opening act will play half an hour, maybe 40 minutes if you're lucky. Mm-hmm. And then the headliner will do anywhere from a 60 to a 90. And you're like, well, we do that and then another 45 minutes, right? It's a lot to get up
it
there.
Is. And I'm off book. Like
right.
I have to be memorized.
I love all the theater terms that you pepper in. It's great. It's
off book. Yeah. I find that I have to be memorized or else my nerves will kick in and I'll just stare at the page and I can't be present and I can't try new things and really let loose as the kids say. So I really tried hard to.
Do you did you study for theater?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
So we had a great theater program at my high school, and then as soon as I graduated,
I know I went to that school.
I know. Did you do the theater program? Like, were you at?
I was. Yeah,
Equinox?
It was at the Equinox Theater. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just a few years before you. But
look at us go.
Yeah, I remember that.
Kindred spirits.
That theater program fondly.
Yes, it was amazing. Yeah. And the choir program too. Like, wouldn't be where I am today and the artist that I am today without that foundation. And so I was very lucky. I was very supported and very pushed to continue this craft. And so I got into a theater school called Randolph in Toronto.
Oh, yeah.
So I was there and I didn't, I was also young. I was 17 when I moved, which was a lot. And I didn't really know anybody. Actually, I didn't know anybody moving to the city. And it was very much a triple threat program where they wanted you to be equal training in singing, dancing, and acting. Because they just wanted you to book a lot. Right? Totally. They were like, we want you to be like completely self-sufficient, supported performers who just book a lot of gigs. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I can't touch my toes. Like, this is not going to happen. I'm never going to be in a kick line ever. Mm-hmm. Nor should I. It would be so weird. So I didn't feel like that program was perfect for me. I learned a lot and very happy for that experience because not a lot of people move at 17 and have to kind of figure out really quickly how to just kind of survive in a sense. And then, theater school's hard. They do try to break you down. Yeah. And
it's also really tough for anyone that didn't go to theater school to actually you talk about things like rolling on the floor and they're like, you're a fucking crazy person. And
or like,
no, I did it in school. They're like, that sounds like a mental institution.
Well, a little bit. And like, what animal would you be like, take on the characteristics of that?
Yeah.
I'm like,
just like, we called it adult kindergarten. We were there.
It really
was adult kindergarten.
Yeah. And they make you pay the big bucks for it. But it was really awesome because it really just teaches you how to see humans as well, like how to be extremely empathetic. And anyways, so very grateful for that, but was very happy to leave. And then
was it a 2 or 3 year program?
It was a 3-year program, but I only stayed for a year because it really wasn't resonating with me. They really wanted me to do the splits. Yeah. And I was like, this isn't gonna happen. Please don't touch me. Yeah. I was like, no. So I left thinking I was like, no, I just want to sing. I want to be with a band. I don't know how to do that. And at this point, I had two mentors. One was musical theater and one was a jazz singer. So at 17, 18, I was like, okay, well, either I do musical theater or I sing jazz. Like, I didn't know that there was more. Stupid, but so.
No, there's only two kinds of.
There's only two.
You can do jazz or musical theater.
Yeah. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Or my mom wanted me to be a teacher. So I had three options. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to try jazz.
Well, she's like, Mom, if I'm going to be poor, I might as well be a musician.
I might as well suffer for my art. So then, I like inquired about jazz and I went to like chat with somebody at Capilano and they're like, are you free to audition in 5 minutes? And I was like, sure. And sure enough, did that. And then it was really great. It was a cool one because they were like, oh yeah, you've got a great voice, but you can't read music.
Yeah.
And I go, not at all.
Nope.
I'm a feeler, not a seer, apparently. So, okay, back to the drawing board. What the hell do we do? My mom even like took me to a life coach.
She's like,
you're
did she
lost.
pay him under the table to like tell you that you should be a teacher?
I think she wanted to. And then we got the test results back and it was like, okay, so you're either a park ranger or a musician. That was
That's a good spread. I've always thought that
weird?
I would make an awesome park ranger.
They're like, you're an introvert.
Yeah.
You like to be alone. You can be a park ranger or you're a musician. Like that literally was the option. Or it was like a vet, I don't know. And I just was like, okay, I'll do the musician thing. And, but yeah, I went to like a music program and briefly, and that was kind of just strange. And then I kept singing musical theater because I love the epicness of those songs.
And they're all stories.
And
that's
stories.
The thing about musical theater.
And they're rock songs because they're huge. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't caught on yet. Like I didn't know the rock thing. And then, just singing these musical theater songs in music school, training really to go to CAP. Like that was the intention, was to do the jazz program at CAP. And then I had a friend call me. She lived in Harlem. And she was like, yo, I'm looking for another roommate. Do you want to take this, like the third bed in this 1-bedroom apartment in New York? I was like, yeah, sure. Sign me up. So I moved to New York for 6 months to pursue musical theater. Because my intention, I just was like, I want to work. I need to get my hands dirty. I'm not a book girl. Like, I need to work. And so I was like, I'll just build my resume in like the musical theater's hub. That sounds great. And I did. Like, I hustled. I had no friends. I read 35 books in 3 months. And I just I actually worked with some of my Broadway idols, which was
neat.
Wild.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is silly. Like, this is so cool. And like got to be in Pearl Studios every day where people are auditioning for Wicked. Like I remember they were doing Defying Gravity and for 5 hours, like all of us just heard that tune. It was so ridiculous. And then there was like a Disney cruise audition and everybody's like dressed up as their favorite princess. And I'm like, what is happening? It's a Tuesday.
Right.
At 9 a.m. Yeah. But that was really awesome. And then, and I just, I did this workshop actually that was really, really, really special and interesting and weird all at the same time. And it was called Rock the Audition, How to sing rock and pop for musical theater, because the theater world is changing where the music is now more inspired by pop songs rather than stuff like Sound of Music.
Right.
And in school, a lot of people they don't know how to sing like a Kelly Clarkson song.
Right, because you get trained with classical musical theater songs.
You're trained with like My Fair Lady.
Like,
yeah. So that was really cool.
Which is great.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. But it was cool. It was 4 weeks only. And the idea was you only learn 4 songs and you're able to bend them dependent on the audition for what show it was, for what genre, for what era.
What does it mean to bend a song?
So
tweak it?
Yeah, you tweak it based on, what was the example she used? So the first week was 60s, 70s. So you choose one song, and mine was Just One Look by Linda Ronstadt. Never heard of it before. Never even heard of Linda before.
Oh, really? This is how long ago?
This was 2019.
What are we in now? 2023?
2023.
I went through the same thing at the last podcast we filmed.
Yeah.
I was like, are we in 2024?
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2023.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is it February? So
February. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was this 3-4 years ago?
Yeah. 5? Yeah. 3-4 years ago. And yeah, 60s and 70s, just one look. And so one way she made me sing it was if I was auditioning for Hair. So she was like, imagine you're stoned in a daisy field. Just like imagine that. And I was like, okay.
Stoned in a daisy field.
Yeah. I was
like,
like,
Equinox Theater did Hair when I was at high school. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
We did Shrek. Shrek the musical.
Also great.
So ridiculous.
We got in a little bit of trouble for doing Hair. Our drama teacher did. Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
We did Legally Blonde too, but we cut out the sex scene, which whatever.
Yeah. We made some cuts to Hair as well. There was no full frontal nudity, but
next time.
I was like, I'll get naked.
Yeah, you're like, I volunteer as tribute. But yeah, the first kind of version was in a daisy field, and then it was like Motown, super small. You're like, you've got your backup singers, and it's like you're imagining you're filming for a television show.
Right.
So that's just kind of her way of bending. So you do it based on the show. And it was really cool because it meant less material that you had to learn. Right. You just learn one song. You just have to be
flexible with the song.
So, and that was kind of my first introduction to rock in a sense. And I was like, ooh, this feels really good. And then it just every week, and then we had to do like an 80s week, and that was a blast. And I just kind of was like, ooh, this feels really good to not be a character, to sing as myself and through my experiences. So yeah, and then I came home to Vancouver after doing that, living there for 6 months, and booked a few musicals, and was very grateful for the opportunities, but felt very overwhelmed just by the audition process and by kind of like the noise and the chaos that goes into creating a musical. And then COVID hit.
Right. Yeah,
and then it was kind of like the pressure was off. It was like, okay, what do you want to do? And now I'm doing what I want to do. Yeah. And it just was so crazy. But those experiences of like New York and Toronto really like set that groundwork and the hustling and so grateful for it. But like, whoa, it was hard. Oh, wow.
So you mentioned Linda Ronstadt again, being just introduced her in 2019.
Yeah.
Did you grow up with music in the house? What were some big influences when you were a kid?
Yeah.
I know Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift because of my age, we grew up with her.
Yeah.
Like Love Story. I just, it was always on the radio. Yeah. I mean, my dad's a huge music lover, and so is my grandpa, his dad. And I've actually been having I have this conversation a lot with musicians because the influences are so huge in how you play and how you sing and how you perform. And I kind of just been thinking a lot about it. And I was like, oh, like Sarah McLachlan, the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
Bryan Adams, but Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. That soundtrack was really big.
Oh yeah.
Was
that
the
Bryan
horse
Adams?
movie? Yeah, he wrote all the songs.
That was his Tarzan?
Yes. Yeah, apparently, like I would only watch that movie in like complete privacy. Like it was such a sacred moment for me that I would like
get out.
Yeah. Like
I'm watching my stories. Get the fuck out.
Like I just loved it. But I think my dad's such a big jokester that I think he would like sing along and probably make fun of the horses. And I would just get so upset. So like at 5, I would apparently be like a menace and like throw people out of rooms just so I could like watch this movie by myself and enjoy it anyways. But yeah, like the Dixie Chicks and I actually think, like, talking to my dad a lot about it recently, I do think Fleetwood Mac was always kind of an undertone as well around the house. Like, I know that they went and saw like they traveled to go see Stevie Nicks or something,
Right.
but they're not diehard fans, but they like they drove, I don't know where they went, but like they drove to see her, which is so unlike them. So it's interesting now seeing the songs that I play. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, Cowboy Take Me Away. I always heard that growing up, and like Landslide. Okay, yeah, like all these tunes. It's been really interesting to kind of like have those moments. But my dad's a rock guy.
Mm-hmm.
I just found out like Eat the Rich by Aerosmith was his alarm clock a couple months ago. Like, you know.
Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
Do you cover any Dixie Chicks?
Just Cowboy Take Me Away.
Just Cowboy Take Me Away, yeah. Have you seen the film Shut Up and Sing?
Is that their documentary?
Yeah.
No, I haven't, but it's on my watch list.
So Dixie Chicks, I have a great amount of respect for them from now for a myriad of different reasons.
Yeah.
But growing up, my sisters and my mother loved them. Yeah. And it was just on all the time. And I was like very much into, I wanted to listen to punk rock and grunge and metal and hip hop, and Dixie Chicks were just like not my thing. So I had this hate on for them from like most of my teenage years and my early 20s. And then when I saw that film, it just, my whole ideology just shifted. I was like, these women are fucking badasses.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because it's the story. I don't know if you know much about the documentary.
Not too much, yeah.
But it's the story of when they were on stage in London during the second Bush administration. And they made a joke about George Bush. This is during the Iraq War Part 2. And they were like, we're ashamed to be from the same state as him because he's from Texas and they're all from Texas. And they got death threats. They lost record deals. They their whole fucking world imploded. Yeah. All because, and they weren't even in the States. They were in London when they made the comment.
But it's because they made a comment.
They made a comment about the sacred commander-in-chief at the wrong time. And their fan base, because it was their fan base, right? They had there's a lot of people sort of more right-leaning that were fans of Dixie Chicks, so they felt like, they felt betrayed because it's like, you're actually leftist hippies. God damn it. But it's a great film. You should watch it.
No, I love those female music documentaries. Like Lady Gaga's was really cool. And
I had no idea she had fibromyalgia until I saw that.
Yeah, and she how she performs too, like her shows. Oh my God, it's like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah,
it's on that kind of level. And then I have to bring her up, Taylor Swift.
Right.
So grew up with her, obviously, and then I have to admit I was one of those jerks where she released 1989, and I did not vibe. I didn't vibe with the pop.
Was that the first one that was a sort of a breakaway from the country stuff that she was doing? Yeah.
Yeah. And I regret to say, did not like it.
You turned your back on her.
I 100% did. I was like, no. Toodaloo. I don't even know what I was listening to. Probably cast albums. Honestly.
Right.
I think I just was doing the whole musical theater thing. But yeah, and then I watched her documentary, Miss Americana. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Netflix.
I haven't seen it, no. Yeah.
And just seeing and hearing just her experience and how she was painted by the world. And then, she's growing up, right? All these musicians and actors and mainly women from Disney Channel. Not that she's Disney Channel, but she's, in the same lineup as Miley Cyrus.
Well, yeah, and before that, it was Christina and Britney. They got shown out from Disney Channel. They were both in the Mickey Mouse Club. I remember watching them when I was a kid.
Yeah, and it's just, they're painted a certain way, and they step one foot out of line, and it's like, boom.
Crazy bitch.
Yeah, it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's really, it's scary to see how people perceive you, and it's been something that's kind of always lingered in the back of my head, But yeah, watching Taylor's kind of documentary, I was like, oh, I have mad respect. And she's crazy talented.
Right.
And owning her own music, this whole thing with
That's
re-recording.
Huge. Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you, I'm looking at contracts with a magnifier and sending it to 500 people, it feels like. Because it's just bonkers. And it's so cool that she's re-recording all of her work, and it's actually more successful than when it originally came out.
Right.
Like people are really responding well to it. And it's very cool to see. So as a female artist, she's very big on my list.
And it's funny, there's so many artists out there that got one of my favorite stories about an artist getting shafted by their own work is John Fogerty of CCR.
Yeah.
I don't remember which single it was, but it was off of his big solo album that came out in the 80s. Because CCR was only around for, I think they were making albums for like 3 years. Okay. Like they came and went and blew up really, really fast.
Yeah.
And then both Fogertys went on to do their own thing, and John Fogerty had a little bit more commercial success. And he released an album with a hit single in the mid-1980s, and the record company sued him for plagiarizing himself. And the story is, I don't know how accurate this version of the story is, but the story is he got up on stage in the witness stand with his guitar and like demonstrated the differences between the two songs. Yeah. But he was like, "This is the song I wrote in '65, whatever year it was." Yeah. And he played it, and he's like, "This is a song I released last year," and he played it, and then he like explained how they were different pieces of music and how they weren't the same thing. And the court threw it out, but the fact that the guy had to go in.
Had to do that.
He got sued for plagiarizing himself, and that's such a thing. You look at artists like, what happened to almost every artist that wrote for Motown. They all got screwed, and Led Zeppelin covered all these old black artists that they all got screwed. Yeah, and so for that to be, I think it's really neat that people are more aware of it now. Yeah, and when artists come out and they're like, "No, I own my music." I tip my hat to that. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, it's back to the whole storytelling. The whole concept of somebody owning my stories and my heartbreak. I'm just like, that doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. But I'm sure, that'll have to change. But for right now, I'm like, no. It's my blood, sweat, and tears right now. Like
absolutely.
It's my voice. I'd like to have it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So how did your mom see this young girl locking herself into a room to watch a horse cartoon and sing along to the songs, and then you being obsessed with musical theater? And I don't say the obsessed in a negative way, because I fucking love musical theater. Yeah. And think you should be a teacher.
Well, I mean,
did that come from you at all, or was that just
No.
Mom was like, I wanted to be a teacher.
That was my mom. Yeah, well, I come from a family of teachers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so, and my brother and I are really sort of the only artists on both sides of the family. Mm-hmm. So, like, going to family dinners, I feel sometimes very just unsure of what to talk about.
When are you going to give up that rock and roll music, Kate?
I know. And I'm just like, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a safety thing. I mean, I think it's a hard path to understand unless you're on it or you're somehow a part of it. So I think the teaching thing came from a place of security and mostly financial security, and just
which is a big thing. It's a hard looking down the barrel of, I'm going to pursue the arts, whether or not it's stage of a theater, stage of a concert hall, or in front of the screen or behind the screen. It's there's a lot of uncertainty there. You got to kind of plunge into it.
It is, and there's also just a lot of putting yourself out there. And I think she just was just kind of wanting me to feel safe and secure, and also wanted that for herself, to watch her. She didn't want to watch her daughter struggle. Right. So it was always kind of a suggestion to be a music teacher, because then I'm still in the world, but I'm making money. Yeah. Kind of thing. And it was, but I just, I went to her school for one day, and I kind of was in the shadow of the music teacher, and I just kind of was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to take the car at lunch. I love you, but I this isn't for me, and I really appreciate it.
So your mom was a music teacher?
No, she love her to death, but she doesn't have a musical bone in her body. But she's done everything else.
Right. You mentioned that your brother and you are the only ones that.
Yeah. But she loved the music teacher at her school, so she really wanted me to be like besties and stuff. And I was really happy. Like I hung out with him for half the day, and then I went up to her at lunch, and I was like, "I'm gonna take the car home. Can you ride with your pal?"
Your pal.
She's like, "Oh, yeah, whatever." But
is your brother a musician as well?
he dabbles at the piano. He's very good, but he's at film school for at CAP.
Nice.
Yeah, and loving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the city gone through Capilano Film Program. They have a really good program there.
Yeah, he's really happy. Yeah. So
Kevin Smith is famously a Capilano dropout.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, it's sweet. My brother comes to every single show. Oh,
yeah, I've met your brother.
You met my brother. Yeah, he's very sweet.
I met him, I think, the first time on the patio last summer.
Yeah.
You guys came in for a drink.
Yes.
And then, he was there at your last show, I think, with his girlfriend and your family.
Yes. Yeah, he's #1 fan. It's really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of support, which is awesome.
Have your parents made it out to your shows as well?
Oh, yeah. I've actually started to tell them to stop. I'm like, Mom, I'm playing a bar show. Don't come. She's like, why not? I'm like, can you just... Mom, I'm singing rock and roll. Like, come on. Let me have my moment. She's like, you're so weird.
Just so many of the artists put their parents on the guest list. Just tell her to get drunk.
She won't. She should, though. She gets really nervous. She's so sweet. She, like, feels my nerves, and she, like, takes them on.
Right.
And she's like...
She gets nervous for you when you're on stage.
Yeah. She's like, oh, God.
Mothers are great at that.
I know. I'm like, Mom, it's fine. I'm good.
I'm good,
gal.
She's like, I can tell that you're nervous.
She's like, I'm your mother. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
I love that everybody in existence, their impersonation of their mother is, I'm your mother.
I know.
It's like, my mother never sounded like that.
No, my mom does not talk like that.
It's just like, she's a normal human being that spoke like a normal human being.
Pretty chill. Like her voice is actually quite, like, pitched quite medium
it's just
low.
a regular,
it's just the vibe.
tone.
It's just the energy. But,
just the bomb energy.
But no, my parents are really, they're very awesome and very supportive, and they're constantly, I think, nervous for me, but they're also very much like, no, you're on the path that you should be on.
Yeah.
But
and it must have been neat for them to see, like, you talk about your mom wanting that security for you, in terms of, hey, you can still be in the music world, but let's maybe think about something that's going to get you a steady paycheck so that you're okay, which I think is a totally normal parental thing to do.
Yeah.
So it must have been neat for them to be able to see everything that you've done just in the last year I met you, I think, at that first show that you played, the early show.
Yeah.
And I remember texting Paul Clark, the guy, Paul Clark does our bookings at Gilton Company.
Yeah.
I mean, like, this chick's great. Get another show. And then you steadily get some more and more.
Yeah.
And then, like I mentioned, those 2 articles that you featured, recording an EP, having them thrown up on Spotify.
Yeah.
It must have been kind of neat for them to watch all that happen.
They didn't, well, they're still learning too. Like, my dad didn't even know about streams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he just didn't know. And then...
What's a stream?
Yeah, he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm the only one who probably listens to your songs. And I was like, okay. And then I had to...
Which is not true. You have listeners in Helsinki. I saw that today.
Where even is that?
It's in Finland.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You have 35 listeners in Helsinki, I think. I was looking at your Spotify this morning, and I was like, cool. There's people in Finland listening to your tunes.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, shout out to Finland.
Somewhere in between like 10 and 40, I think. Yeah, and there's some in Sydney as well.
Wild.
Yeah.
Oh, so cool.
I didn't even know you could see that. I was just like, oh, cool.
Yeah. It's really, Spotify's cool like that. But it's just been wild. And I'm so excited. Like, I was filming a music video on Monday.
Oh, cool. Which was that the Just Good Enough? Was that the
No, so I've got a song coming out March 3rd.
Just around the corner?
Just around the corner.
Probably
and
be right around the corner from when this airs. So that's cool.
Perfect timing. Yeah, I'm very excited. This one was a full female team that it was written by.
That's neat.
That's a lie. Ben is part of it, but
I mean,
that's fine.
just one. We gave him
fine.
honorary metaphorical
he gets
ovaries
10%.
for-
That is his that's his split. But this one was really cool, and I'm so excited for it to be out. It's like, it's crazy. It's such a big song, and it's pop rock, and
This is an original?
yeah, and it's
Exciting.
huge. Yeah, I'm so excited. It's so fun, and writing it was, I wrote it with a gal pal of mine named Michaela Slinger, who's a musician in the city, and she's so crazy good. She's the one who I brought the Just Good Enough to, and she
Right.
revamped it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the writing experience for that song was just so fun and so cool and effortless. And we just really were talking about boys and relationships and insecurities and
All the meat and potatoes for a...
you know, and just kind of having a little gossip session and hanging out, drinking tea. And she pulled out her guitar and she was like, I had this idea. Da, 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 da. She's like, it's kind of like a heartbeat. And I was like, love it. And I had come with a notebook of just like sentences, just like nothing really fluid, but just stuff. And she was like, ooh, I really like that. And she's like, it doesn't really make sense to me, but does it make sense to you? And I said, oh yeah. Like it's actually the pre-chorus of the song. It goes, 1 foot on the edge of nothing. I'd jump if you dare me to. I've fallen for less and crashed for more. And she was like, what?
1 foot on the edge of nothing. I'd jump if you dare to.
If you dare me to.
Fallen for less and crash for more.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, my very, very, very best friend who's actually directing the music video helped me write that. And I just felt like that summed up how I feel when I'm crushing or falling for someone, because it takes a really long time for me to like someone.
Are you like a slow burner but fall hard type person?
Yeah, like I'm in, but I'm so terrified.
Yeah.
Like I'm so terrified, and then I play like the too cool for school girl, and then people think I hate them. It's really quite exhausting.
Yeah.
But it's really,
It's just how you got to do it, right? You got to make someone think that you absolutely hate them.
then they fight. They're just like, no, Kate, and it's like, okay, yeah, I actually have liked you for like 3 years, but whatever works. I don't know.
Works. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited for the song, and it's just big. So we're with the music video, we're just taking advantage of that. We shot at the Hollywood Theater, and
That's really cool.
yeah, and it's also, funny enough, a nod to musical theater.
Yeah.
Like the costumes that we're wearing, and we're doing like, nods to Cabaret, Chicago, Moulin Rouge, burlesque, and just really playing that like whole performance card in a sense, like the really big, like this, all the world's a stage, you know, and also kind of playing that into like how to find love and like, in this crazy kind of performative world.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited. I'm so excited to like start marketing it and showing it to people.
And that single drops March 3rd.
Yeah.
What's the name of the track?
Edge of Nothing.
Edge of Nothing. And when does the video drop?
Great question.
Still don't have a date.
My goal is the 10th.
You're still in principal photography right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't even finished shooting it, but the guy works quickly, so I'm super excited.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I'd love for the video to drop like a week after the song, and then we've also already shot like an acoustic version of it too, like a video.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Just like a little like what do they call those?
Like a little session.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just of my key player, guitarist, and I. We took over my friend's little fashion studio in the motel on Main Street. I don't know. Yeah. So we're just like tucked in the corner of her like garments, and we're just like singing this song, this like big song, but very calm, cool, and collected.
Neat.
Yeah.
So you got that coming out.
Yep.
We've got a Gastown session that you're recording here today. That's gonna probably be out in a few weeks.
Cool. Yeah.
Edge of Nothing drops March 3rd.
Yeah.
Spotify,
All of it.
iTunes, all the things.
Yeah.
But Just Good Enough came out last November. So
Yes, it did.
anyone can hear Just Good Enough on all the same things. And then you've got your 3-track EP that came out earlier in 2022, right? And that's covers of Bad Bayou, Bad Romance, Blue Bayou,
Bad Romance, and Man
Coffee's
Eater.
getting to me. I'm getting a little jittery.
Yeah. No, I got you.
And the third one on that again?
Man Eater.
Man Eater. Yeah. That's such a great choice.
Yeah.
When can we see you live next?
So I have a show, this Saturday, which is February 18th at the Fox Cabaret. My first time there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're taking kind of advantage of it, and we're doing like a whole decade show. So I've got a band coming in opening with 90s, and then a band 80s, and then my guys and I are 70s. And then I'm gonna announce Edge of Nothing at the show.
Cool.
So we're gonna like encore with it.
Sweet.
And I'm gonna try to remember to buy little like business cards with you can scan and pre-save it. You know,
nice.
Always hustling, always working.
It's crazy how much things have. I remember being in my early 20s playing in bands and going to my friends' shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And you still had the CDs, right? They were still relevant. Yeah. Now I have a lot of artists come in that are, my age or older, and they'll still bring in CDs. I'm like, dude, you got to evolve, man. That's not going to work. I know.
But records are in.
Records are
are so cool.
Yeah. And which I love.
Yeah.
But when they weren't cool, they were cheap.
Yeah.
And now they're cool again, and they cost a lot of money.
I tell you.
I'm so angry that I got rid of my cassette collection. I had hundreds of cassettes, and I was just, you're pretty transient in your 20s. I couldn't keep carrying them around.
Yeah, of course.
But February 18th.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't think this episode will air before then.
Yeah.
So if you didn't go to Kate's show at the Fox on February 18th, shame on you.
It'll be epic.
You got something coming up after that lined up?
I'm going to Toronto for 2 months.
2 months. So got a...
I don't know. Yeah. And then hopefully playing a few festivals when I come home for the summer.
That's amazing. Well, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see
Thanks,
this new single drop and wait for the music video.
I can't wait.
So Kate Yahn, you can find her on Spotify, Apple Music, Fox Cabaret around the city. Keep your eyes peeled. And I'm going to sign off with a little cheers here. I'm just going to have a sip. Thanks for coming.